Right then everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Alex here at GolfMagic, and today you're joining me at King's Golf in East Grinstead, one of the best golf venues I've ever been to, and we're testing out some brand new Mizuno Pro irons. If you haven't seen our first video reviewing the Mizuno Pro 221 irons, I'll put a link for you somewhere around here to check it out. Very interesting video, but I'm extremely excited to test out these, the Mizuno Pro 223 irons. These may have got the most buzz out of the three on golf forums and online, purely because of the technology that's involved. It's said that the Mizuno Pro 223 irons are similar to the JPX 91 forged irons in terms of technology, but more compact into a smaller head. When you're comparing these to the previous version, the MP-20 MMC, these are actually a lot smaller, especially in those scoring irons. There were some criticisms of the MMC last year, especially in those shorter irons, because they were quite chunky. For me, it was most notable in that pitching wedge, but it seems that Mizuno have listened because that's exactly what they've changed. Now, for me, the most interesting thing about the Mizuno Pro 223 irons is they kind of act like their own combo set. The 4 to 7 irons in the Mizuno Pro 223 come in forged chromoly with a flow micro slot, whereas the 8 to pitching wedge come in 1025 Pure Select mild carbon steel. This is very interesting for all golf club enthusiasts, and it means that for those combo people who really like mix and matching, you really don't need to with this set. That flow micro slot, you have seen that in the JPX 91 forged. But in the Mizuno Pro 223, it has a thinner top edge, shorter head length, and it doesn't lose any playability like that. This means that this club is a bit of a distance iron. The lofts aren't that jacked up. I'll put it on the screen for you now. They're actually a bit weaker than the JPX 921 forged, but they are stronger by, I think it is 2 degrees than the Mizuno Pro 221. I got some pretty good distance with the Mizuno Pro 221, so I imagine I'm gonna get some pretty good distance with these as well. I'm gonna test it out, a 6 iron, 8 iron, probably a pitching wedge as well, just to see the differences between that forged chromoly and the 1025 pure steel. Let's give it a go and see how I get on. What I love about Mizuno, and especially the 223, is they've listened to exactly what everyone's been saying online about the MMCs and improved them. So I actually like the MMCs, but if you had to nitpick, it was those shorter length clubs that just looked a bit chunky. You'd think that MMCs are still quite a player's iron, but the pitching wedge especially looked like a bit of a shovel. They've changed that completely now. So I've got the 6 iron here. I've also got it in an NS Pro Modus Core 115 shaft. So this is gonna feel great either way with this combo, but I'm expecting some pretty decent distance out of this, and just the consistency as well, because the 221s were consistent, but I had a bit of dispersion problem. So I'm thinking these will be a bit, probably higher launch, probably similar spin, maybe, yeah, pretty much similar spin, and we'll go a bit further. Okay. There we go. Whew. That's gonna go miles, right? Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. A bit bright. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Okay, let's have a look at those numbers. A few things to mention, but they go far. So I can more or less instantly tell I've hit the JPX 91 forged quite a lot. These are less forgiving in terms of the feedback that you get. With the JPX 91 forged, they're great irons, but they are definitely more forgiving, and wherever you hit it at the club face, sometimes you weren't too sure. This, you have instant feedback, but one thing with it is they still went pretty far. So there was one dreadful shot in here that you'll see by the 128 ball speed. I think to begin with, those first two or three shots, I was just struggling with the shaft profile, as I was using a completely different shaft for the last 2 hours. Just changed to one that's a little bit smoother, a little bit higher launch, and it took me a bit to adjust. But after that, if I actually take this one off, we go to dispersion. They were all mainly going a little bit right for me, as you can see. So interesting. You compare this to my 221 video. I urge you guys to check it out. Completely different dispersion. But that's actually pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with that for those shots there. And they were going a long, long way. Like, if we go back to the table and just see the longest one, the total of the number there at 221 yards. I know spin's a little low, but not too bad giving those stronger lofts. That's pretty impressive. I think you guys would agree from those irons. That 6 iron is good. That 6 iron feels really good. Does it feel as soft and as buttery as the 221? I would say no when you hit it completely out the middle. 221, a little bit smoother, a little bit more like butter, which you'd expect for something that's a little bit less forgiving, that's more of a muscle back. But it's interesting with this one because although you do have that instant feedback, I don't think any of those will actually hit 100% apart from the one that went 220 yards. But with this one here, if we now go to the actual impact, that was pretty bang on, but a little bit high on the face, and it still actually went a very good distance. So although it's giving you that feedback, because they are the 223, the MMC range, they do have a little bit more forgiveness than the 221. I do prefer the 221 in terms of feel, but that's only out of the middle of the club face. These go like a rocket ship, and they do feel pretty good as well. So I'm gonna move straight on. I don't wanna hit any more 6 irons. I wanna test out now the difference onto those scoring irons from looks and also just that different technology. So the 8 iron, the difference here, because this will not be the forged chromoly with micro slot, this will be the pure carbon steel. Good looking club, really good looking club. And it is clear that this now is not as large and bulky as the previous iteration. Actually very similar to the Pro 221, slightly different, but in terms of head shape and the actual size, very, very similar. Ah, that felt good. Look at that. I should be done with that one. Great numbers there. Great numbers, great ball speed, great spin as well. I'm really liking that spin being a little bit higher. And you can see that launch angle and dynamic loft is a lot higher, but that feels good. Nope. How bad's that one then? I really don't want to leave that one in because of how bad it was, but it's kind of showing there. I hit that one so badly with smash factor of 1.3, but it's still got 180 yards. Spins low because I caught it so low on the face, but fair enough. I would not have expected it to go that far. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I'm gonna stop saying wow. I think it's a little bit blocked, but that feel. Yeah. That one will be interesting for me because, yeah. Okay, that was quite eye-opening for this 8 iron. A big difference in results again to the 221. Let's take you over and look at that data. So it turns out 8 iron goes very far. 8 iron goes very far indeed. So I didn't, that set wasn't very good, in all honesty. You can probably see a few of those strikes weren't great because of some of the ball speed. This one here, for example, probably wasn't great. If I go to the impact, you can see, yeah, very low on the face of that one. Not ideal. The one that I hit, probably nearly missed the ball on this one. Again, extremely out of the heel and low. But if I'm looking where I'm hitting that there and the results it's getting, carrying 178, which is similar to all the other ones, and the only thing that's a problem there is the spin rate. That's pretty good for that forgiveness. For a club that is quite a tall, compact head, to do that, yeah, it's pretty impressive. I'm sure you guys are as impressed as me. One thing to note here, look at those carry distances. So that one there going 189 yards. I know the lofts are stronger, but I have hit clubs with the same lofts as these. They don't go as far. Smash factor all a little bit down, which shows again that I didn't hit them very well. If I hit them at 1.42, that could go to that 190 yard mark for an 8 iron, which is absolutely ridiculous. But all very consistent, a little bit higher launch and higher spin that I'm noticing now. That's probably more down to the shaft with it being a mid-launch, mid-spin in comparison to other ones. And the spin climbing up a little bit as well, which we all want to see. I want a bit higher spin. But very good numbers there, and I think you guys, as I've said, will probably be as impressed as I am. I wasn't put off by the looks, being someone who prefers that kind of blade finish for those shorter irons, doesn't see a lot of confidence. That smaller head, with the top line being a little bit smaller as well, it's a very good club. And if you are trying to look at a Mizuno, and if you are thinking I've got the JPX 91 forged and should I upgrade, I think you guys have got a decision to make here because it's a tough one. I'm going to hit some pitching wedges now just to finish off, and I'll give my final thoughts. So in all honesty, the pitching wedge for me, for any iron set, is not a club I really get on with. Don't know why. But looking down at this, I think it is the club that I definitely can get on with. It's very clear to see the improvements they've made with this pitching wedge. It's not chunky, and you can tell it's a lot of a smaller shape. Similar to the 221, but maybe a little bit more oval shaped, which you'd expect for something which is, I guess, a little bit more forgiving. You would expect this, I would expect this to go about 150 yards, so I'm swinging it a little bit faster now, but it's that dispersion and what happens if I hit it badly is the most important thing. It's definitely a confidence inspiring club though for those kind of mid-low handicap players. That just felt so nice. Pulled it, a little. Little high on the face, maybe. Oh, that's a bad shot. That's my worst one. You can have a look at that. Yeah, high on the face and over the top. Let's go deep dive into these numbers and give my final thoughts. I don't need to hit too many shots for a pitching wedge, do I? You can see the numbers here, what I'm getting. And out of 3 shots here, dispersion, that is probably the perfect shot, right at 150. 2 of these slightly over the top, but one gonna be about 20 foot away and slightly long, and one again gonna be slightly short, also about 20 to 30 foot away. I'm not a tour player, I never will be, so I will always snap your arm off if you're offering me 30 foot away on a 150 yard shot. The interesting thing with this little one here, if we go to the little table and show you, I went over the top. Something that I don't actually think I do, which is rather annoying, but you can see there, swing direction at -3.5, I'm really cutting across that and leaving the face open relative to path, which is why I blocked it slightly right. Something to consider for my swing, but for a bad shot, for a shot that I'm still hitting with the player's iron, I'm still getting good distance. My current irons, my pitching wedge goes 135 yards. I feel like it needs to go further, doesn't it? These do that, and they do it pretty consistently. The 223s are a very impressive set. They've really mixed together a lot of stuff that Mizuno have done right over the last few years. So let's give my final thoughts. So guys, as you can tell, I'm a big fan of the 223s. In all honesty, I think I'm gonna be a big fan of the whole Mizuno Pro range. I haven't tested the 225 yet, that's coming very, very soon, but the 223s are my favorite so far for a few reasons. Although out of the middle, I would say the 221s do feel better. That's me being very, very specific and probably overcritical, what I have to be when I'm doing these reviews. I would get better results out of the 223 because I'm not a tour player. The 4 to 7 and then 8 to pitching wedge, little differences work very, very well. And I feel confident in every club that I'm using in the bag from 4 to pitching wedge. With the copper underlay that's present in all of the Mizuno Pro range, you do get that Mizuno feeling, whatever the club. So as I said, although the Pros do feel a little bit better, it's by that much. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video today. You can see that I do love the Mizuno Pro 223s. They'll be available for you guys to purchase in February of 2022, and some fitters will have them already. So go and try them out. If you guys are new to the GolfMagic YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button down below to keep up to date with all of our videos. We've got some very exciting content coming very soon. So until then, I'll see you guys next time.